Sophie Cunningham isn't just another player filling out a roster spot. She's a live wire, an unpredictable force you can't tune out. Love her or hate her? One thing's for sure, you notice her. Around the league, her name comes up constantly. Teammates praise her spark, rivals question her methods, and coaches can't deny the chaos she brings with her. Every time she steps onto the court, something changes. You can feel it. The rhythm of the game tightens. The crowd leans forward, and suddenly every screen, every switch, every possession carries more weight. That's the territory Sophie thrives in. Not the calm, controlled stretches of basketball, but the volatile moments where the game feels ready to flip. How do you put a number on the endless effort? Closing gaps, chasing cutters, tagging rolls, barking out switches, until the opponent finally cracks. These are the little, unseen plays that don't make highlight reels but win possessions. Shading a driver just enough to force a pass, denying a shooter so the screen turns into a wrestling match, cutting off a roll to save a mismatch, taking the hit at the nail and still beating your assignment to the corner. It's not pretty. It's exhausting. But it's exactly the kind of work that erases runs before they start. As Kelsey Mitchell summed up perfectly, there's no need to dress it up. It just is what it is.
Sophie's that wild card, man. Her and Lexi together. I think their energy, when I talk about effort defensively and just figuring it out and having a willingness, that's Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall. They do an unbelievable job of just being present, being where they need to be.
That's your lead scorer laying out exactly what the bench brings to the game. Wild card doesn't mean random. It means the X factor, the piece that can flip momentum, change a quarter, or completely swing the outcome. And notice what Kelsey highlights first: defense, hustle, and the willingness to grind it out. Sophie's impact isn't just about hitting a timely shot. It's all the invisible plays before the ball even goes up. The quick closeout and recovery, the second box out that denies an extra possession, the early call that saves a teammate from being late on rotation. And don't overlook the chemistry with Lexi Hull. Together, they cover space, communicate early, and turn simple actions into problems for opponents. Hull can chase and shoot, while Sophie can slip, crash, ghost a screen, and still lock up the best wing for an entire possession. As a duo, they completely shift the tempo. When your starting guard is standing up and vouching for you, you're not just along for the ride, you're the lever that keeps tilting the game. And Sophie keeps pulling it. But here's the real kicker. It's one thing for a teammate to say it. It's another when the message echoes from the top. Lately, Sophie Cunningham has been everywhere, torching defenses on the court, grabbing the cameras off it, and making waves with her energy and swagger. The league respects her fire. The fans love her edge. And yes, even Caitlin Clark couldn't ignore it. But instead of dodging the comparisons or fueling the rivalry, Caitlin finally spoke up, with a grin, a quick laugh, and one line that left everyone stunned.
If someone had Sophie's looks in my game, that'd be the most famous player this league's ever seen.
The room laughed, but Caitlin wasn't just cracking jokes for fun. There was a deeper layer behind her words, an undercurrent of respect. Because what most people don't realize is the growing bond between her and Sophie Cunningham. On the court, they battle fiercely. Off the court, their connection is becoming just as noticeable and just as powerful as their game. That one quote wasn't just playful banter. It was a glimpse into something bigger. Stick around, because it only gets better from here. See, in basketball, respect is earned through sweat, hustle, and sacrifice. Teammates can hype you up, but real validation comes from the people who decide your minutes. When a pure scorer calls you the wild card, that's a sign of trust. And when your head coach backs it up in public, that's structure. That's security. Roles stop being abstract ideas. They become actual playing time. Players may set the energy, but coaches define the framework. And the way a coach describes your value, that's everything. Every league has its own language. Those little coach phrases that carry way more weight than they sound. Things like embracing your role or competing at a high level. To the casual fan, it's just press conference filler. But if you followed this game long enough, you know those words mean something very specific. And for Sophie Cunningham, they're pure validation. She doesn't just play hard by accident. She chooses to do the tough jobs most players shy away from. She embraces the grind, and her coach sees it. Nate Tibbetts put it best.
I mean, I think when you come in this league, from again, I'm learning this league as a second round pick. You got to have some toughness and grit to you, and you know, she's embraced that role, and that's worked for them. And so I give Sophie credit because she competes at a high level.
It's straightforward. No flashy labels, no sugarcoating, just the coaching seal of approval. Grit, toughness, commitment, competing with no shortcuts. That's Sophie Cunningham. You see it in the way she doesn't slip around screens but runs straight through them. In how she sprints to close a gap that might not even matter, then does it again the very next possession. That edge comes with a price. Bruises, fouls, frustrated opponents. But it also comes with a reward. Coaches don't hand out meaningful minutes for free. Sophie earns every one of them. What does embracing that role really look like? It's showing up to film session and being the first to admit your own mistakes. It's delivering the hit on a dribble handoff so your guard actually gets a clean lane. It's being the low man in the rotation when you're already gassed, tagging the roller, then still flying to contest the corner three because your effort bought a teammate the extra second they needed. It's about the hockey assist mindset, making the pass that sets up the pass that leads to the bucket. If the starters are the face of the team, players like Sophie are the backbone, and the backbone defines the posture. Want to know what that trust looks like on the floor? Watch the coach who has to shuffle lineups on the fly. Belief plants the seed. Deployment grows the system. Toughness and grit sound nice at a press conference, but their real value shows up on a random Tuesday night in the third quarter. That's when the blueprint is revealed. Who can guard up a position? Who makes switches seamless? Who lifts the energy of the whole group with just their voice? That's the system. And that's Sophie. Her impact isn't about one single skill. It's about unlocking possibilities, letting her team do 5 things they couldn't before. Play bigger, switch more, add edge, spark intensity, and keep the heartbeat steady. Her energy is the battery. Her voice is the rhythm. And her coach? Stephanie White didn't hesitate to say it. Sophie changes the game.
Oh my God, Sophie's a dog. She just is, she's a competitor. She's versatile, so she allows us to do different things. Like, she plays with such a toughness. She's huge, and she's going to be for us all season long. But what she brings from an energy standpoint, she raises the level of play of everybody around her as soon as she steps foot on the floor. Hell, even on the sideline. I mean, her communication, everything. She's definitely an X factor.
When people say dog or X factor, those aren't throwaway compliments. Those are signals that your presence shifts the game the second you step on the floor. Versatility means a coach can buy rest for a star without losing identity. Communication means teammates react quicker, sharper, half a step ahead of the opponent. And raising the level? That's something you can't coach. It's leadership without words, when everyone else pushes harder just because you're out there. That's the kind of impact Sophie Cunningham brings. In one short stretch, she can cut on the weak side, set the flare screen, slip out for a pick and pop, then turn around and anchor the defense at the nail, all in just a couple of minutes. That adaptability gives her coach the power to shift strategies on the fly. If the other team plays small, you punish the glass. If they go big, you run them until they wear down. Add in her voice on the sideline, pointing, calling coverages, tapping a teammate's chest after a switch, and suddenly you don't just have a lineup, you have a connected group. That kind of energy is rarer than a hot shooting night. But there's another side to it. Energy like that doesn't just stay in-house. It forces reactions. Some opponents clap back, some try to match it. Others ignore it completely, staying locked on the ball. But the edge Sophie plays with is real. And when that edge collides with a phenom who treats pressure like it's nothing more than background noise, that's when the game turns into a test. It's energy versus composure. Contact against calm. The question becomes, can you shake someone who refuses to flinch? Enter Caitlin Clark, a rookie who answers storms by shrinking them, who takes chaos and bends it into rhythm. Rivalries need sparks, a shove, a whistle, a moment that flips the game into a bigger conversation. And Sophie's name almost always finds its way into those moments, because she plays where the fire is hottest. But when Sophie questioned the whistle against Clark, the response wasn't anger. It wasn't escalation. It was ice water, steady, unshaken, completely under control. Caitlin didn't fight fire with fire. She flipped the script.
A great thing about this world is everybody's entitled to their own unique and personal opinions. So that's what she thinks. And I can't control what she thinks. I can't control the whistle. But what I can control is just being more unaffected by it, unaffected by the physicality, unaffected by the whistle, just as well if they're not. So trying to not pay attention to the refs, pay attention to this ball, pay attention to what we do as a team, I think is important.
That's the kind of poise you expect from a veteran, not a rookie. Paige doesn't try to silence the noise. She shrinks it down until it means nothing. The key with her? She's untouched. Untouched by the personalities, untouched by the whistles. And that's exactly what makes Sophie Cunningham such a contrast. Her entire game is built to get under your skin, make you feel the bump, the chase, the non-stop pressure. If Paige is the player who never flinches, Sophie is the one determined to make you flinch first. But there's another layer too, the marketing spotlight versus the locker room grind. Spotlight players land the magazine covers. Grind players control the atmosphere of the team. And when those two worlds collide, sparks always fly. Sometimes it's tactical. Sometimes it's about mindset. Either way, it's drama you can't ignore. And inside the league, players respond to that tension in very different ways. There are two choices. You can soak in the noise and use it, or shut it out completely. Paige takes the first route. She absorbs it, centers herself, and starves out distractions. But plenty of veterans go the opposite way. They draw hard lines in real time, shutting down anything that threatens the culture of the locker room. That's intentional. It's leadership, and it's loud for a reason. Because sometimes the strongest message isn't written in stats or scouting reports. It's a culture play, a line between debate and flat-out disrespect. And players will always make it clear where that line is. That's why, when negativity started spilling into the live chat during All-Star Weekend, Courtney Williams didn't hesitate. She slammed the door and locked it tight.
Anybody say anything in the chat about Sophie, go in timeout. All my mods, if anybody got anything to say about Sophie in a negative way, put their ass in timeout, straight up. We is not playing that. We is not playing that
No
this
negative
weekend.
energy.
No negative energy.
That's more than just a vibe. It's a statement from a respected guard. The league still runs like a family, and in this house, you don't tear down one of your own. That moment sent two messages at once. First, Sophie Cunningham isn't standing alone, she's got allies backing her. Second, there are rules within the room, even unspoken ones. Ain't nothing but love might sound like a slogan, but in reality, it's a strategy. In a league this competitive, tension is guaranteed. But containment, that's intentional. The message is clear. You can go to war on the court without fanning flames online. That's how reputations grow a second layer. You can be the player who frustrates opponents every night, but still be the one your peers publicly protect. That balance, edge in the game, respect off the floor, is what makes careers last. Nobody survives a marathon season without friends and a strong support system. And Sophie? She clearly has both. A lot of this comes from the heat of the moment, the type of plays that blur together when slowed down frame by frame, where fans still can't even agree on what's clean or dirty. That's why real-time reactions matter. They show where the line felt in the moment. Off the court, that line is about respect. On the court, it's about survival. You can post principles all you want, but possessions are lived, not tweeted. In a split-second world of screens, grabs, and collisions, the code is way simpler than any press statement. Don't get punked. Forget hashtags. Forget think pieces. This is the raw math of contact. Ask anyone who's been on the floor. The clips fly by. Elbows, angles, bodies smashing into space that barely exists. Sometimes there's no neat explanation, only what everyone just saw. And when Natisha Hedeman broke it down, she didn't sugarcoat a thing. She said the quiet part loud, and the loud part even louder. You cannot let yourself get punked.
Oh, there she go. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, that girl grabbed her by the neck. I ain't gonna lie to you, she showed her not wrong, bro. You can't get punked, bro. She had to get up, like, you can't get punked.
Two truths can live at once. Yes, Sophie reached in. And no, that can't just slide without an answer. That's the gray area she operates in, where so many role players survive in a league that treats toughness like currency. It's not clean, it's not simple, it's human, and it's exactly where reputations are built. In this world, you can't get punked isn't just advice. It's both the rulebook and the dare. If you buy into that code, resistance is coming. Sophie knows that. She embraces it. She plays through it. Step back and you see the ripple effect. A hard foul fires up a bench. That bench wakes up a crowd. That crowd lights up a defense. And suddenly, what looked like one defender now feels like two because the noise and communication are louder than the actual scheme. In those moments, the whistle matters. Refs huddle, coaches shuffle matchups. Players weigh whether to crank it up or pull it back. The result doesn't just move the score, it rewrites the identity of the game for the rest of the night. But there's always a bigger current flowing underneath. Players carry their whole lives into the arena. Not every flare-up is about a foul or a stray word. Sometimes the weight is heavier. Family, pressure, the world outside the court. Some nights the game is all that exists. Other nights, life bleeds straight through the tunnel. That's why emotions boil over, why words stick longer, because the stakes aren't just basketball. To understand the heat of the moment, you have to step back and read the thermostat behind it. For Sophie, her lane is the game itself. She shows up, takes the hits, does the work no one praises but everyone needs. That doesn't make headlines or hashtags. It's setting screens, absorbing contact, covering rotations. You can debate her methods, but you can't question her intent. Inside a locker room, intent outweighs any post-game tweet. Natasha Cloud's voice, though, isn't only about basketball. Her words stretch into politics, litmus tests, bigger battles. That's her right. But when loyalty gets judged through ballots and beliefs, the game risks becoming a purity test instead of a basketball project. Sophie doesn't care who you voted for. She cares if you'll sprint to the nail, communicate on a switch, and take the collision so your star scorer doesn't. Wnba builds chemistry around the job. The other forces teammates to choose sides about everything but the game.
Open dialogue. I try to have hard dialogue with her, and it is what it is. What you vote for this election, we're gonna see. But my life depends on it, and if that don't matter to you, you can't tell someone you love them and then vote against their life.
That's a heavy moment. But here's the thing. The season doesn't pause for debates to be settled. Every 24 seconds, a possession arrives, and there's no time to wait. Sophie delivers something immediate. Edge, accountability, coverage, no political prerequisites required. If you want a true measure of what the room values, watch the only verdict that matters in real time. That's not ideology. That's respect. That's gratitude in motion. It shows whose effort actually traveled and whose message landed when the noise was at its peak. Now, consider the reaction that changes the entire context. Context matters because it sharpens what comes next. After the chaos, after boundaries were set, after codes and causes were acknowledged, the room needed clarity. Not paragraphs, not explanations. A single word. That's how stars communicate when everyone has already heard too much. One word can redefine a role, rewrite a moment, and shift a night. In every locker room, some words linger long after they're spoken. Not because they're loud, but because they confirm what everyone already felt. You can debate a whistle call or a replay, but you can't debate relief. And when Sophie recounted the response after the most talked about incident of Indiana's season, one word stood out. That word was enough to turn an agitator into an ally.
But in the locker room, she goes, I think she was like, finally, you know, like finally someone else. I was like, dude, I got you.
That's the essence. That's the thesis. Finally, someone else steps up. If you've been following the season, you don't need anyone to interpret it. Caitlin Clark endures bodies, bumps, baiting, and relentless attention every single night. When someone willingly walks into that storm, absorbing whistles, contact, and chaos, the franchise player feels it. It lands as protection. Not every foul is erased, not every scuffle smoothed over, but it reframes intent. Not recklessness, but cover. Not chaos, but I've got your back. And here's the part opponents sense, even if they never admit it. When your star says finally, the whole team hears permission. Permission to play harder, stand taller, and become the version of their squad that can weather anything. Where does that leave Sophie Cunningham? Exactly where coaches and teammates have always placed her. Finally is more than relief. It's an assignment. It turns edge into shield and a lightning rod into armor. From that moment, every bump, screen, and rotation reads differently. Less random heat, more deliberate protection. Teammates expand, opponents recalibrate, and coaches double down. Her job is simple. Set the temperature and make everyone else live in it. Sophie is the league's ultimate paradox, a role player who refuses to be invisible. Kelsey calls her a wild card. That's trust. Tibbet embraces her role. That's belief. White calls her an X factor. That's impact. Paige's calm shows her edge tests poise. Courtney's defense reads as respect. Heidman lays down the code. Cloud supplies the heat beyond the stats. And Caitlin's finally is the seal of approval. On the court, she rewrites timing. Ghost screens, off-angle slips, drives that collapse defenses. Game plan rule 1. Don't take the bait. Ignore her, and she sets the terms. Engage her, and you're forced to outthink your instincts. She isn't just a line on the stat sheet. She's the thermostat. You can't coach want to. You can only absorb it. Indiana did. Perception will always split. Teammates see toughness. Rivals call it extra. Tape calls it influence. She transforms noise into leverage, making the game feel personal, not only in the moment, but on film the next day. As the stakes rise, so does her value. In May, she's a spark. By August, she's the difference maker. Every time Indiana makes noise at the right moment, it traces back to Sophie setting the temperature and daring everyone else to live in it. She isn't just a role, she's a role taken personally. What makes Sophie Cunningham unforgettable isn't the stats. It's the way she extracts reactions from everyone in the league, good, bad, and everything in between. Teammates call her an X factor. Opponents call her a handful. Coaches call her tough. And Caitlin Clark? She called her a protector. That's Sophie in a nutshell. Someone you notice, someone you feel, someone you better be ready for. Because in today's WNBA, few players command this much attention, and Sophie Cunningham has made sure she's one of them.